Chosen ones, 5 proven signs you're ascending to a highest vibration level. There comes a point in your spiritual journey when everything starts to shift. The world around you doesn't feel the same, and neither do you. You begin to notice things most people don't. You sense energies where others only see empty space. You start to detach from things that once consumed you, things like toxic relationships, material obsessions, meaningless distractions. And for a moment you wonder, am I going crazy? But then something deeper, something unshakable within you whispers, no, you're ascending. Here's what most people don't understand: there is a vibrational shift happening on this planet. A separation between those who are waking up and those who are still asleep. The ones who are ascending are being pulled into a higher state of consciousness, while the rest are caught in loops of suffering, repeating the same patterns, but aware that they are even trapped. And if you're here, if this message is reaching you, it's not by accident. You are one of the chosen ones, the ones meant to break free, the ones meant to lead, the ones meant to ascend beyond the limitations that have kept humanity bound for so long.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
But how do you know for sure? How do you recognize the signs that you are truly moving into a higher vibration? Because here's the thing, ascending isn't just about feeling good or having spiritual experiences. It's not just about meditating, manifesting, or reading about spirituality. The true ascension is a complete transformation of your being. It's a process that will challenge everything you thought you knew. It will break you before it rebuilds you. It will strip away every illusion, every false identity, every limitation that has held you back. And if you are not prepared for this, if you do not recognize the signs, you may resist it. You may fight against the very thing that is meant to set you free. So, let's start with the first sign, the one that most people misunderstand: detachment from the old world. As you ascend, you will start to feel disconnected from things you once cared about deeply. The conversations that once excited you now feel empty. The places you used to love now feel draining. The people you used to relate to now seem distant, as if they are trapped in a reality you no longer belong to. And this can be painful. You may feel like you're losing yourself, like you don't fit in anywhere anymore. But here's the truth: you are not losing yourself, you are shedding the false version of yourself that was created by the old world. The version of you that was shaped by fear, by ego, by the expectations of society. And as that version fades, the real you, the infinite, powerful, divine you begins to emerge. But this is where many people get stuck. They mistake this detachment for loneliness. They cling to the old, even when it no longer serves them. They try to hold on to relationships, jobs, identities that no longer resonate with who they are becoming. And in doing so, they resist their own evolution. They slow down their own ascension. But the truth is, you cannot rise while still holding on to the weight of the past. You must let go, not with bitterness, not with resentment, but with love, with gratitude, with the understanding that everything and everyone that has fallen away has served its purpose, that their chapter in your story is complete, and that what is waiting for you in the next chapter is beyond anything you can currently imagine. The second sign is heightened sensitivity to energy. As your vibration rises, your ability to perceive energy becomes more refined. You start to feel things deeply, not just emotions, but the actual vibrations of people, places, and situations. You walk into a room and immediately sense if the energy is heavy or light. You meet someone and intuitively know whether they are aligned with your path or not. And this isn't something you logically analyze, it's something you just know. A deep, inner knowing that bypasses the mind and speaks directly to your soul. But this level of sensitivity is both a gift and a challenge. Because while you gain the ability to sense truth beyond words, you also become more affected by negativity. Loud environments, chaotic people, low-frequency conversations, they all start to feel unbearable. And this is where many chosen ones struggle. They wonder why they feel so drained all the time, why they suddenly can't tolerate the things they used to. But it's not a weakness, it's a sign of your transformation. Your energy field is no longer compatible with lower vibrations. Your soul is rejecting anything that does not align with your higher path. So what do? You must learn to protect your energy, to be selective about where you go, who you spend time with, what you consume mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Because not everything is meant to enter your field, but not every conversation deserves your attention. Not every person deserves access to your energy. And once you master this, once you learn to navigate the world without letting it drain you, you step into a level of power that few ever reach. The third sign is synchronicities and divine guidance. As you ascend, the universe begins to communicate with you in ways that seem almost magical. You start seeing repeating numbers -111, 222, 333, not just randomly, but at moments when you need confirmation. You think of someone and they call you. You set an intention and somehow the exact opportunity you need appears. But this isn't luck. This isn't coincidence. But this is alignment. This is what happens when you shift into a higher vibration. Your external reality begins to mirror your internal energy. But here's where most people go wrong. They notice these signs, but they don't trust them. They second guess, they doubt, they rationalize. They ask for signs, but when they receive them, they convince themselves it's just their imagination. And in doing so, they block the very guidance they are asking for. But the truth is, the universe is always speaking to you. The question is, will you listen? Will you trust that you are being guided, even when things don't make logical sense? Because the ones who ascend the fastest are not the ones who have all the answers, they are the ones who have the most trust. The ones who follow the signs, even when they don't know where they are leading. Because they understand something most people never will. Faith is not about knowing, it's about allowing. But now comes the real question. If you are experiencing these signs, if you are truly ascending, what happens next? How do you navigate the challenges that come with this transformation? How do you step fully into your higher self without falling back into lower vibrations? Because the truth is, not everyone who starts this journey completes it. Many are called, but few are chosen. And even fewer choose themselves. The spiritual tests, why ascension feels like a battle before a breakthrough. Ascending to a higher vibration is not just about receiving blessings, seeing angel numbers, or feeling more connected to the universe. But it is also a process of purification, one that will push you to the edge of your limits. Many people think that spiritual awakening is all about peace and enlightenment, but they forget one critical truth. before you can rise, you must be tested. You must be stripped of everything that is not truly you. And this is where most chosen ones struggle. Because when you start ascending, life doesn't immediately get easier. But in fact, for a time it may feel like everything is falling apart. Relationships that once felt solid start to break. Plans that seemed certain begin to crumble. You may experience deep loneliness, confusion, even doubt. And this is where many people make the mistake of thinking they are doing something wrong. But in reality, they are going through the most critical phase of ascension, the phase where he is testing them. You see, when you raise your vibration, everything in your life that is not aligned with your new frequency must be removed. And this removal process is not gentle. It is not comfortable. It is not easy. Because there are parts of your old self that will resist. There are attachments you don't want to let go of. There are lessons that you still haven't fully learned. And so, the universe tests you not to break you, but to refine you. One of the first tests you will face is the test of detachment. Everything you once identified with your old beliefs, your past relationships, your former self will be challenged. The people who no longer align with you will start to fade away. The habits that no longer serve you will start feeling unbearable. The things that used to bring you comfort will no longer satisfy you. And in this moment, you will have a choice: cling to the past or surrender to the future. Many people fail this test because they are afraid of change. They try to hold on to what is familiar, even when it is no longer meant for them. They resist the natural process of ascension because they do not want to face the unknown. But the truth is, you cannot ascend while still carrying the weight of your old life. You must let go. You must trust that what is leaving is making space for something greater. And if you can pass this test, if you can release without fear, without resistance, you will move to the next level. The second test is the test of solitude. As you ascend, you will go through a period where it feels like no one understands you. The conversations that once excited you now feel meaningless. The people you used to relate to now seem distant, caught in cycles of distraction and illusion. You may feel like you are walking this path alone. And for many, this loneliness is unbearable. They start questioning themselves, wondering if they made a mistake. They begin doubting their own journey. But what they don't realize is that solitude is not a curse, it is a phase of preparation. Because before you can lead, before you can inspire, before you can step fully into your power, you must learn to stand alone. You must learn to find strength in silence. You must learn to become so rooted in your own truth that no external force can shake you. And this is why ascension often feels isolating, because you are being stripped of external validation so that you may find your inner power. The third test is the test of faith. There will be moments when nothing makes sense, when everything feels uncertain, when you are being asked to take a leap without knowing where you will land. And this is where most people fall back into lower vibrations because they allow fear to control them. They demand certainty. They want proof before they trust. But the ones who ascend are the ones who understand that faith is not about having all the answers. It is about trusting the process, even when you cannot see the full picture. So ask yourself, can you trust that everything is happening for your highest good, even when it feels like everything is falling apart? Can you surrender to the unknown, knowing that the universe has never failed you before. Because if you can pass this test, if you can hold on to faith, even in the darkest moments, you will unlock a level of power that most people never reach. But here's the final truth about these tests. They are not punishments. They are initiations. They are preparing you for something greater. And if you can endure them, if you can stay strong, if you can keep moving forward, even when everything inside you wants to give up, you will emerge on the other side completely transformed. And this is where the real magic begins. Because once you pass these tests, once you prove that you are truly ready, you will start experiencing something extraordinary, the actual shift into your highest vibration. But what does that look like? How do you know when you've truly ascended? How does life change when you reach a higher state of consciousness? Living at the highest vibration, what happens when you fully ascend? Once you pass the tests, once you let go of everything that was keeping you bound to a lower vibration, something profound happens. Life no longer feels like a struggle. The resistance that once weighed you down begins to dissolve. You wake up with a sense of clarity, as if the fog that once clouded your mind has been lifted. You no longer chase things come to you. Opportunities, people, experiences that are aligned with your highest purpose begin to flow effortlessly into your life. This is what it means to live at the highest vibration. But here's what most people don't understand. Ascension is not about escaping reality, it's about mastering it. It's about operating at a frequency where lower energies, negativity and fear no longer have power over you. And when you reach this state, everything about the way you experience life changes. The first thing you will notice is a profound sense of inner peace. The things that used to trigger you no longer affect you in the same way. You see life from a higher perspective, and because of this, you no longer waste energy on things that do not matter. Drama, gossip, petty conflicts, they all become irrelevant. But you no longer engage in meaningless battles because you understand that they are distractions from your purpose. You choose peace not because you are avoiding life, but because you have mastered it. The second thing that happens is your intuition becomes razor sharp. You no longer rely solely on logic to make decisions because you have learned to trust the deep, inner knowing that guides you. You can feel when something is right for you and when it isn't. You can sense when someone is being truthful and when they are not. You no longer need external validation because you are so deeply connected to your own truth. And as a result, you start making decisions that align perfectly with your highest path. The third shift is your energy becomes magnetic. When you are vibrating at the highest frequency, people are drawn to you not because of your appearance, not because of your status, but because of your energy. You radiate a presence that is undeniable. If people feel safe around you, they feel inspired. They feel something they may not even be able to put into words. And without even trying, you begin to uplift those around you simply by being in their presence. But this is where another challenge arises. Because when you are living at a high vibration, not everyone will understand you. Some people will be inspired by you, but others will be triggered by your light. They will try to pull you back down, not because they are evil, but because your growth reminds them of their own stagnation. And this is one of the final lessons of ascension. You must learn to walk in your power without shrinking yourself for the comfort of others. You must learn that protecting your energy is not selfish, it is necessary. And as you continue to rise, something even greater begins to unfold. You start manifesting effortlessly. The things you once struggled to achieve now come to you with ease. Not because you are doing more, but because you are aligned. Your thoughts, your emotions, your energy, all of it is in harmony with the universe. And because of this, you no longer operate from a place of lack or desperation. You no longer chase, you attract. But here's the most powerful realization of all: you no longer fear anything. But fear is a construct of the lower self, a byproduct of illusion and separation. But when you ascend, you see beyond the illusion. You understand that there is nothing to fear because you are connected to something greater than yourself. You realize that everything, every challenge, every setback, every obstacle was never happening to you. It was happening for you. It was shaping you, refining you, preparing you for the person you were always meant to become. And this is where your true mission begins. Because reaching the highest vibration is not just about personal enlightenment, it is about service. It is about using your wisdom, your energy, your presence to uplift the world around you. It is about becoming a living example of what is possible. And this is why only a few truly ascend, because with great power comes great responsibility. So the final question is this: now that you have stepped into your highest vibration, what will you do with it? How will you use this power, this wisdom, this energy to fulfill your purpose? Because ascension is not the end of the journey, it is the beginning. And the ones who truly understand this are the ones who leave behind a legacy that will be remembered for generations to come. The purpose of the chosen ones, why you were called to ascend in this lifetime. If you have made it this far, if you have walked through the fire, faced the tests, and come out on the other side vibrating at a higher frequency, then you must understand something: this was never just about you. Your ascension was not just for your own personal growth or happiness. It was a calling, a mission, a divine responsibility that you agreed to long before you were even born. Most people spend their entire lives asleep, trapped in cycles of fear, distraction, and limitation. They live and die without ever realizing who they truly are. But you are different. You are one of the few who have awakened, one of the few who have broken free, one of the few who have remembered. And that is not a small thing, because in every generation there are chosen ones, beings who incarnate not just to exist, but to elevate, beings who are meant to shift the consciousness of the planet. But here's the truth that most people don't want to hear: being chosen does not mean life will be easy. In fact, it often means the opposite. Because when you carry a powerful light, you will attract both those who are inspired by it and those who seek to extinguish it. You will face challenges that others do not. You will be misunderstood, doubted, and even ridiculed. But none of that matters, because the mission is greater than any momentary hardship. And deep down, you already know this. So why were you called to ascend in this lifetime? Because the world is at a turning point. The energy of the planet is shifting rapidly, and there is a battle happening, a battle between awakening and unconsciousness, between love and fear, between higher and lower vibrations. And you are not here by accident. You were placed in this time, in this body, with these experiences for a reason. Your pain was not random, it was training. Every hardship you endured, every struggle you overcame, every moment of darkness you survived was preparing you for this. Because only those who have walked through the fire can lead others out of it. Only those who have faced their own shadows can help others do the same. And that is what you are being called to do, to guide, to heal, to awaken. But here's where most chosen ones struggle. They feel the calling, but they doubt themselves. They wonder, who am I to lead? Who am I to teach? Who am I to make a difference? But that is the illusion. That is the last trick of the lower self, the idea that you are not enough. But you are. You always have been. And the moment you fully accept that, the moment you stop waiting to be ready and start stepping into your purpose, everything changes. Because here's the secret, you do not need permission to shine. You do not need validation to lead. You do not need approval to rise. You simply need to decide, to commit, to step forward, even when you are afraid. Because the world does not need more people who are waiting for the perfect moment. The world needs people who are willing to stand in their light now. And this is why ascension is not just about reaching a higher vibration, it is about using that vibration to shift everything around you. It is about being the presence that elevates every space you enter. It is about being the voice that speaks truth, even when it is uncomfortable. It is about being the example that proves what is possible. But this is not about forcing anyone to awaken. True leaders do not convince, they embody. They do not need to preach, their energy speaks for itself. And this is why your greatest power is simply being who you truly are without fear, without apology, without limits. Because when you do that, you give others permission to do the same. And that is how the world changes. So now, the real question is this: what will you do with your light? How will you use this ascension, this wisdom, this power? Because the truth is, many are called, but few choose to answer. You have already been chosen. But now, it is time for you to choose yourself. Because the world is waiting, and the time is now.